Oh yeah, what's going on, guys? Nick from the AB Garage, back here with you again this week for another new episode of the Average Biker Podcast. Just have a few little housekeeping things to take care of before we get into this week's episode interview. I just wanted to say thank you very much to all you guys for listening last week, giving me the downloads, checking it out and everything. It was a short episode. Just kind of getting my feet wet again, getting back into the podcasting space. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Appreciate the downloads, the subscribes, the reviews. If you haven't done that yet, go ahead and do me a favor and just leave me a review wherever you're listening to your podcasts at. Like I said, I'm glad to be back doing this. I had missed it and didn't realize that I had missed it this much, but I definitely miss it, and I'm glad to be back to doing it. Another shout out, thank you to you guys for checking out the YouTube channel. I've uploaded a couple videos on my Honda Shadow bobber build, and they have been met with a lot of I don't want to say praise, but a lot of compliments, and it's very, very humbling. So again, I appreciate all that. So still looking for guests. If you guys are out there listening and you are a bike builder or just into motorcycles, or you got a little shop, want to get on Skype and bullshit with me for an hour, I'm looking for guests and would love to talk to you. Hit me up. Post my email in the show notes for this, or hit me up on Instagram. Either way is fine, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can and set something up for you. And before we get into this episode, I need another favor. I'm going to ask another favor of you guys. If you could share this episode, listen to it, rate it, review it, and then go ahead and share it on social media, or even with just a friend. Just say, hey man, check this shit out. If you think one of your buddies would dig it, then hell, maybe they would want to be on the podcast. So if you guys could do that, and while you're at it, check out the Instagram and YouTube channel, but mainly just share this episode. It'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. So, all right, man, with that being said, we'll jump into today's episode. It's an interview. This is my older brother. He goes on to talk about he was a helicopter pilot in the Army, and now he is a medevac helicopter pilot down in Indianapolis. So if you fuck yourself up pretty good down in Indy, need the helicopter, there's a chance he was your pilot. So we talk about that. We talk about motorcycles mainly, because that's what this podcast is about, is motorcycles. But we just spent an hour shooting the shit, and it's always great to talk to my brother. I love him, and I think you guys love him too. So without further ado, here's my brother, Jeff Payton.
Use my in-ear headphones with the microphone, because it's actually a little bit better, and it didn't want to let me do that. So I changed to my Bluetooth headphones, and it seems to be working okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. You get to see my beautiful face with headphones on.
I don't have my video on. Your video on?
It is now.
Oh. Hey. Oh,
what's that?
That shit on your face.
Oh, this is what we call civilian life on my face.
Nice.
See it?
I do. I like it.
And it's gray. A lot of it is gray.
Yeah, that happens.
I'm okay with it. I like it.
Yeah. I'm not, but whatever.
You won't get it until you're old and distinguished and a grandpa like me, apparently.
Oh, no, I got
I got a head full of gray. You see that shit? Yeah.
Well, see, between the two of us, we'll have a normal head of hair and a gray head of hair because all of mine is right here. I have nothing up top, no grays whatsoever.
Must be nice.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
So, all right. Well, yeah, I'm not sure where this is recording to. I'm gonna have to find out. I got it set to record. I don't know if does it tell you that it's recording?
Yeah, the top left it says Nicholas is recording the call.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't know where the hell it saves it to. But
No idea.
whatever. Yeah, I was trying to run this through Audacity. Do you have Audacity?
No, I ain't hip with the kids, man. I got TikTok. That's what I got.
Oh, see, I don't even have TikTok. But yeah, Audacity is just some free recording program. But I guess I got to record it through Skype, figure out where I record it to, and then upload it into Audacity and edit it through all this shit. So who knows? Yeah, it'll be. I spent like 3 hours last night just trying to figure out how to do all that, and then this morning it doesn't work. So whatever.
Well, I did some video editing, but I use Cyber Creator.
Cyberlink.
That doesn't sound right.
That's what I use for my
Cyber Director, I think.
Cyberlink Power Director.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's what I use too. Super easy.
Yep. That it is. It does quite a good job.
Oh yeah,
when I did that New Year's Eve video, when I was in Iraq, that's what I used to put all the footage and everything, and put the songs and everything under it.
Sweet. Yeah, that's what I used all my videos or all my YouTube videos for. Cyberlink, super easy. Snip, clip, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you've seen my YouTube channel, right?
Yep.
You listen. What is this?
Admittedly, I'm not as caught up as I'd like to be.
Oh, I haven't posted anything in 2 years. So, yeah, there's nothing. I have all the footage from my trip still that I did in 2020, and then both times I went down last year, I took footage too, and I've got shit. That bike I'm building in the garage, I've got that. I fucking hate editing video. It's time consuming, and I get bored. But
yeah. Do 3D design in conjunction with video editing, and you'll lose your mind.
Yeah, dude, I tried my little logo up there. I did that. It took me fucking 3 days on GIMP and what's the other one? The Vector something or other. I can't see it behind Skype, but
yeah,
fuck that shit. So
agreed.
So anyway, you kind of know my channel's about motorcycles and shit like that.
Yeah.
So that's what mainly we'll be talking about today. You're into cars and shit too, like I am, so we can talk about cars and stuff too. But I don't know if I'm even going to upload this. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to get used to Skype and where to click and what to do and everything before I get more serious and refined guests on than you.
Well, you're setting the bar pretty low, I got to tell you. I mean, when it comes to refinement, I have yet to figure that formula out.
Right. So, if anybody does end up listening to this is my older brother, Jeff Payton.
What's up?
He's, are you retired from the Army now?
No. That's a complicated subject. Okay. I am potentially on my way out, but
well, yeah, because you're older shit now, so
yeah, but I've only been in for 13 years, so I got a few more years to go if I want my 20-year retirement.
Yeah, because you joined late, right? You were 28.
Yep, 27. Yeah, when I joined. Yep, and joined as a combat medic, and then got picked up for flight school, and have been doing that ever since. So
yeah, you flew Blackhawks.
Yep. Right. I started with the Alpha Lima model, which was the older model, I have flown aircraft 3 years older than me, which is saying something. And
Antiques.
then antiques. Yeah, the one I flew was a 1979 model. It was, or one of the ones I flew. It was a thoroughbred. She liked to fly, but a few years back, the Indiana National Guard got the Mike model, which is the most state-of-the-art, thing that the Army's got, really. And full coupled autopilot, all glass cockpit, very, very fun to fly. Very, very capable aircraft. So my first deployment in 2015, I was in the Alpha Limas, and then this last one to Iraq was in the Mike model. So it's been quite an experience.
Nice. So I know, well, kind of know your history with motorcycles and whatnot, being that you are my brother. But if anybody does listen to this, what got you into riding?
Oh, I think the same thing that got you into riding. Coming up for the weekends with Dad and getting that dirt bike out and kind of learning all my hard lessons on dirt was nice. I grew up between Dad and my grandpa. Anything that had an engine, I was interested in. And, my grandpa for a long time, and you can ask Dad about this, he had a hog that Dad absolutely loved. And so my grandfather rode, and we talked about bikes and everything. And then, so I've just always kind of had the natural fascination for anything like that. And then, just being encouraged by Dad and everything to get riding and kind of letting me figure that out. I like it. And I've kind of always been a solitary person anyway, so being on a bike alone, that's heaven.
Right. That's one of the trips I took last year. You remember?
Yeah.
He rode with me, and I love him to death. But after that trip, I really like riding alone a lot better.
No, hey, you don't have to explain it to me, man. I get it. There's riding in a group is fun, but there's just something about getting out on a lone trip by yourself. There's nothing. I mean, we have gotten as a society and as a species very comfortable with thriving and not surviving. And I think every now and then you've got to get out there and remind yourself that you can do stuff on your own. And motorcycles are the epitome of that. You don't have big trunk space. You have to carry with you what you got. And that's about it.
My bike has a big trunk space.
Some bikes have a big trunk space. Some bikes don't. I have what I can fit in the half a cubic foot under my backrest. That's what I got.
I actually took my pizza box off the bike, so I'm running in street glide mode right now. But so what was your first bike? I don't even think I know what your first bike was.
It was that Yamaha 650 Special.
Yeah.
That Dad had. That it was a tank, especially for my little teeny tiny 15-year-old frame. The thing was huge, but looking back on it now, it wasn't that big. But it was a bike Dad had. It was an old one, and he let me ride it. And then later in life, ended up giving it to me, and I blew the engine up on it.
Was it red one?
No, it was black or like a really dark blue. It was real dark. I don't exactly know how or when he got it, but it was just a great little cruiser. It wasn't super fast or anything like that, but it did what I needed it to do.
Yeah,
had a back seat on it and everything, and I had that for a couple of years before it blewed up. And that was my first bike.
That's funny because my first one was a Yamaha XS 650 too, and he traded that after I outgrew it. He traded that to the guy that did the shitty tattoo on my leg for the tattoo. So I wish I would have had that bike still, not the shitty tattoo on my leg. Yeah. Those bikes, guys chop them all the time. Yeah, it's funny. I didn't know that you had the same. I guess yours was probably not an XS 650. It was.
No, and I want to say it was like an 82. It was an early 80s model.
Yeah. Was it shaft drive?
I don't think so.
So
No.
Probably was an XS 650 then. Huh.
Yeah. No, it had a chain. It had a chain. I was still learning maintenance back then on bikes. I do all my own maintenance now, but then I wasn't as schooled up on it. I mean, I could work on cars all the time, but bikes I wasn't as good. So
The bikes are. I think bikes are more simple than cars, at least for me.
Oh, I absolutely think that now. But at the time, I didn't. I didn't have a whole lot. That was when my oldest was born and everything, and me and his mom were together, and so I didn't really have a shop, or I didn't have a garage or anything. We were living in apartments, so I didn't have much to speak of as far as to work on them. So I didn't get a chance to do it as often as I'd like. But now I get a little bit more into it. Working on an Italian bike's a little different.
After that one, you went. What did you have after that? Yeah, I know we had. What was Gypsy? It was a Honda VF whatever.
VFR, yeah. So after that bike, financially and time wise, I took a break. I couldn't justify it with with the kids and being young, and we just frankly couldn't afford it. And getting home from my 2015 deployment, I had a little bit of money squirreled away, and that's when I got my Toyota Supra. I had that thing for a couple of years, and then when we moved into this house and I had a garage, I got curious and I put it up online for sale or for trade just to see what somebody would offer, and the kid jumped on that. It was a 2007 Honda VFR 800, and it was a sport cruiser, and I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with it right away because it looked like a sports bike, but it didn't sit like one. It sits up higher, and it's got that single-sided swing arm, and it's a V4. It was basically an Italian bike in disguise, which I've always had a love affair with Ducatis and bikes like that. I don't know why, but I always have. And so I thought that this was the cheaper version of that. And I wasn't wrong. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to drive. I've got to explain where the Gypsy came from, though.
Yeah.
So, 2015, deployed to Kuwait. We were in Camp Bury, and the base is huge, and it's all sand, and it's all really hot. And to get to one place or the other, you walk everywhere. So a lot of us had bikes. Well, I found a bike there.
Bicycles?
Bicycle, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
Bicycle. So a lot of us got bikes or found bikes. I found this bike and ordered a whole bunch of parts for it, got it back in tip-top shape. That was one of my little side projects while I was there, was building bicycles for people. But this one was special. It was for me. And me being a nerd, I don't know why, but I decided to name it Gypsy Danger off Pacific Rim. And nerd. Yes, tried and true, bought and paid for. So I called Desi one night. I was like, hey, I need you. I designed up the graphic and the decal that I wanted. I was like, I'm sending it to you. I need you to run it through the vinyl cutter and then mail it to me. So about a month later, I get the package in the mail. It's my decals, and I put it on the side. So it was forever named Gypsy Danger, which, by the way, I still have that bike. I smuggled her home in a Connex. At least most of her. I've got all the main parts she needs put back together, but it's out in my shed. So coming home, getting a motorcycle, it only felt right to continue the tradition and name her Gypsy Danger 2.0. So yeah, that was the story of my VFR. Unfortunately, that story has a tragic end because getting ready to deploy to Iraq, I didn't want her sitting in my garage. I'm not one that believes, you should have a toy and let it sit. That's not right.
Yeah.
But so I put her up for sale. I'm still
kind of mad at you about that.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be, because I am mad at myself. I was, admittedly, in the back of my head, I was hoping that I was going to sell it, stay in contact with the buyer, and buy it back when I got home. I was hoping. But unfortunately, after I sold her, I even put in the listing, it wasn't a beginner bike because it had VTEC and everything. That it after about 3,500 RPMs, the other two valves opened and it turned into a rocket ship. So you had to be real careful about going around through turns and stuff like that, because if you went through that power band right then, it'd kick the rear tire out from under you. So I ended up selling it to this guy, and about I think it was about a month and a half later, I get a message from one of my buddies on Facebook, and he goes, "This isn't Gypsy, is it?" And he sent pictures. Well, I had custom designed the body. I knew that color scheme, and sure enough, it was. The dude had laid it down, smacked the front end on something, had bent the forks up, folded the handlebars in half. Everything basically from the engine forward was destroyed, and I was saddened by that, unfortunately. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
I remember you telling me that you were gonna sell it before you deployed, and I was like, man, I don't know. Like I said, I'm sentimental about shit. Like, I still have the first dirt bike that we had, the little Suzuki JR50. It's over at Mom and Dad's house. I gotta restore that, but I still have that 100 that we rode the shit out of. Now my son, he's riding the shit out of it.
Yep.
And it's that poor thing's beat to shit. But so I mean, and I still have the 50 that I bought them 5 years ago. I'm sentimental like that. I hold on to. I'm a fucking hoarder is what I am. So
I know. I've seen your garage.
It's worse now. It's worse now, man. God, I have like a pathway. I got to clean it out. It's terrible. But so yeah, when you had told me that you were going to sell that, and I was like, God damn it! Like, I didn't have money then to buy it from you, but
man, hindsight being 2020, I should have never let it go.
Yeah.
I didn't need the money. It was just it killed me to see it sit in the garage for a year and sit there and waste away, but it was what it was. Yeah, unfortunately that came to a tragic end, but
so yeah, she's smoked now and it's in the scrapyard, I assume.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because the dude wanted way too much for it, so who knows where she ended up.
He was trying to sell it after he wrecked it?
Yeah, that was the listing that he sent me.
Oh, geez.
was the Facebook Marketplace listing, and he was trying to sell it for damn near what he bought it from me for. I was like, "Are you nuts?"
That makes sense. Yeah. I know what I got. No low ball.
Oh, so get this, and here's my Buy American spiel. To add insult to injury, I had gone through a company to custom design the body kit because I wanted my body kit to be unique. I wanted it to be, one off my own. And because I like that. I like having something unique. And so I graphic designed it, did it all out, talked with the company back and forth, and they sent it to me. It was okay, looked good. And then I come to find out while I was deployed again, they started selling my body kit. There's still pictures of my bike on their website.
Really?
Yeah.
So you designed it?
Yep.
And then they just said thank you for the design and copied it, and they're
Yep. Because in China there is no rights,
and no IP or anything like that.
Yeah, no intellectual property rights whatsoever. So you said, I was like, listen, I will design you other ones. I got no problem with that. Just don't sell mine. What was funny was because I was on a VFR Facebook page, and this kid texted me, or he put pictures of his bike, which had the same body kit, but he changed the red color to gold. And he was like, I love this. I was like, I designed that. He goes, no, you didn't. And I sent him all of the original designs that I had in Photoshop that were all time-stamped. And he goes, oh, my God, man, I'm so sorry. I was like, not your fault. It's the company's fault. Right. So I've gotten over that to a degree. Still a little bitter. Yeah.
Huh.
But, yeah, man.
That sucks.
Yeah, well, that's life.
Yeah.
I knew better. I should have paid the money and gone through an American company.
Yeah. Well, hell, even then, though, I mean, if you didn't have it copyrighted or trademarked, I'm not sure how all that works.
Well, so intellectual property, as far as I understand it, and I could be wrong here, But if you can prove that you're the one who came up with it, copyright and trademark isn't a thing. And that was the thing, is I kept all of the original Photoshop designs and all of the sketches and stuff that I had done, and even all of the email traffic, to where I could have proven that I came up with the design. So
usually those fuckers lawyers though keep you in court for fucking ever though, just break you. That's how they steal your shit nowadays.
Yeah, it ain't worth it. Either that or they pay you off.
Well, that'll be all right.
I'll sell out. Yeah,
right.
No pride whatsoever.
No, everything has a price.
Everything does. Just depends on if you're willing to pay it or not.
Right.
So
it's all right. You got sold the VF4, got deployed. You were in Iraq for what, 9 months? Can we say that you were in Iraq now? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the issue there, is you can't say before. You can't tell places and dates. So before. So me saying now that I was in Iraq is irrelevant. It's old news. Okay. So, it's no surprise. We've got troops in Iraq.
Yeah.
I won't go into specifics as far as like what I did and everything. I can tell you I flew in and out.
I don't want to know specifics of anything. I just know before when I was talking about, you're like, I can't say anything about where I'm at and whatever. So that's why I didn't.
Right.
Wasn't sure.
When it is and it's not. Like I said, specifics are off limits, but as far as like just general vagaries, I deployed to Iraq.
Great.
So it was interesting. It was definitely more exciting than my Kuwait deployment. That was just miserable.
Well, now, when you were over in Iraq and Kuwait, was there any motorcycles over there you could ride?
No.
You said, you talked about the bicycle.
You know what? I don't think I saw a single motorcycle there at all. Whole bunch of trucks. But even so the base I was at in Iraq was a lot smaller. You could walk pretty much everywhere, and we had a truck to get to the other side of the base when we needed it. But as far as my immediate vicinity was concerned, it was pretty small, so we could walk everywhere. Unlike Kuwait, where we were having to hoof it everywhere. But I don't. In the entire time there, even flying over and going around, I don't think I saw a single motorcycle. Come think about it. Huh. Yeah. Nope.
Must not have gotten to the desert yet.
No. Well, between that, it's freaking miserable over there. You kind of want something with air conditioning.
Yeah.
Either air conditioning or heat, because it rapidly swings from one to the other.
Really?
It'll be 100 during the day and 60 at night, and so it goes through some pretty violent temperature swings, and you feel it too when it's hot all day and then it gets really cold at night. Cuts right through you. So Kuwait smells. It does.
So does Gary, Indiana. So
you're not wrong.
Yeah,
you're not wrong. You gotta have respect for a city that gets a shout out in Futurama, though. I mean, they even do a bit about Gary, Indiana in Futurama. Nerd.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So anyway, you come back from Iraq, and then
and then the magic happens.
Yeah, you were looking for a bike, another sports bike, because that's what you're into for whatever reason.
If I ever figure it out, man, you'll be the first to know. I wish I could tell you. Yes, I was. So I got a buddy in Indianapolis who's big into bikes, and he doesn't care, sports bike or whatever. But he knew I liked Ducatis. We'd had that conversation before. So while I was in Iraq, I was kind of window shopping, looking around, seeing what was on the market and everything like that. And he sends me a message, and we start talking. He's like, "Have you heard of Aprilia?" I was like, "Well, I've heard of them." He goes, "Look into them more." I go, "Okay." He goes, "Just look into the sound." He goes, "YouTube a video for the Aprilia sound." I go, "Okay." So I did. I got on YouTube, literally typed in Aprilia sound. and it brought up a whole bunch of videos, and I listened to this bike, and it sounded unlike anything I'd ever heard. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I started looking at Aprilia's as well. And when I found mine, there were two in the state. They're not, well known in this part of the world. In Europe, they're everywhere. But over here, there's almost nothing. But they have a very distinct sound. So the one I found was a 2004 RSV. It was a couple years before they went to the V4. It's a V2, but it's a V60. So the engine's a 60-degree offset, which is, it's 1,000 cc, which is what makes it have that very unique sound. If you picture what a traditional Japanese sports bike, like an R1 or CBR, what they sound like, kind of, to find a point on it, oversized weed eater. They kind of they kind of have that squeal, that scream. This bike does not have that. It is very a very low note with a lot of, you can tell, a lot of compression behind it, and it's astronomically loud. The kids have said that they can hear me coming as soon as I get into town. They can hear my bike from 10 plus blocks away. Especially if I get on the throttle, which I usually don't do in town. I try to be a polite neighbor, but getting out of town, they can hear me. So I fell in love with the sound. It is an Italian superbike. It doesn't have a fuel gauge or anything like that. It's got a lap timer on the left trigger. It's designed to race. It is stupid fast, very torquey. I think it's rated at 128 or 130 horsepower at the wheel.
Holy shit.
It will pull up the front wheel in third gear. You kind of got to be easy with it. I got her back out yesterday and got reminded very quickly in second gear, even mid-range torque or mid-range throttle, it will pull the front wheel up. Handlebar got a little loose, but she's an absolute joy to ride. But man, 2.5 hours on that thing hurts. I'll say it straight out.
So
my old back cannot handle it.
When I want to go down to the Dragon this year, you're going to ride the whole way down there with me, right?
Oh. For the sake of this recording, I'm going to say yeah, sure, absolutely.
Well, just so you know, I've got a trailer now, so you got to come up and get it, because my bike's not going on it, but you're free to use it.
It's that old song, I ain't as good as I once was, and I was good once. My pride says yes, I can, and my back says no, you cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went on I found that limit. I went on a ride and got a little carried away, ended up on it for about 3 hours, and I was a little stiff coming off that thing, because the tank is so long. It's not like the VFR. The VFR, I could actually kind of sit up.
Yeah.
The tank is so long, you're leaning forward the whole time. So what's amusing is I'll lock my throttle when I need to stretch, and I've got frame sliders on the side. And I'll sit back and I'll put my feet up on the frame sliders like highway pegs and kind of stretch. So I've gotten a couple of weird looks doing that. I'll be going past a car and I'm completely just stretched back, my feet up on the frame sliders. It works.
Whatever gets done, I guess.
Yeah, she's definitely top heavy, and she's extremely light. The whole bike is 450 pounds.
Oh, wow.
With gas and oil and stuff. So, it's it's pretty light. You can throw it around quite a bit, but when it's windy, you feel it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I would like, hopefully this season, I want to get a cruiser just so I can ride it for a little bit longer. I rode Michael's VTX, and
he got a VTX.
Yep, he's got that. And he had a Harley Sportster, and he ended up selling that to my sister's boyfriend, and he's got that now, and he also has a bagger. I I don't remember what he said. I don't know if it was a dyno or what, but he's working on that because the damn engine won't run. So yeah.
It just to make everyone clear, Michael is your brother.
Yes.
On your mom's side.
On my mom's side. Yep.
Gotcha. And yeah, when last time I saw him, he was riding that Honda Rebel.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he outgrew the Rebel. I think he still has it, but he doesn't ride it anymore.
God damn. Homie's got a collection going on, huh?
I know. Yeah. Yeah. They got into, they saw me riding and then they got into it. And just like you guys, get this. So Tiffany, my sister on my mother's side, she got a Ninja 300.
Yeah, because she made a comment on Facebook or whatever that I saw, and I was like, well, shit, I got leverage. You know, what are you riding? And yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, she got that bike, and I talked her out of a 600.
You're good.
I was like, sis, yeah, exactly. That is my number one. Please, audience, if you're listening, a 600 is not a starter bike. You can't compare a 600 Cruiser to a 600 crotch rocket, and I really go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, my 600 Shadow that I'm building, I could see that being a starter bike. A 600 fucking CBR, absolutely not. No.
I've actually got a story about that. Years ago, when I worked at Firestone, a buddy that worked there, I still have my endorsement. I didn't have a bike at the time, but I still have my endorsement. A buddy of mine that worked there as a mechanic, he was like, hey, I just bought this bike. What do you think? And it was a CBR 600. And I was like, oh, yeah, you ride? I didn't know you ride. He's like, no, it's my first one. I was like, oh, that's not a good idea. He goes, well, hey, I bought it up north of Fort Wayne. Will you go up there and ride it back for me? I was like, yeah, I can do that. So we go up there. I grab a helmet and whatnot. We go up there. Get on this bike, we're heading back down 69, and we stop at that rest stop south of 469. And me and him are talking. He's like, hey, yeah, man, I want to know, I want to see how fast it is when we get out of here, lay into it. I was like, okay, I will. And so we get out of there, and we hit 69, and I lay into it. I leave him.
You're gone.
I'm gone. And so he catches up to me a while later, and we get to his house, and his whole facial expression is different. He's like, so that thing's pretty fast. I was like, yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. So 3 weeks, he laid it down twice and sold it. I was like, this is not a starter bike, man. This is you can't compare those two. If people think 600 is going to do it, and it's just, those things are fast. They're really fast. A liter for me, the bike that I have now, a liter that's my limit. Like the Hayabusas and the ZX14s and stuff, I can't bring myself to ride because they're just stupid fast in a straight line.
Well, that's my buddy Bryce. You have that picture I sent you of me sitting on that Kawasaki ZX whatever.
Yeah.
That was his bike, and he actually just got an Aprilia too. It's funny.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I sent him a picture of yours, and he's like, well, he should have got the VF4 or whatever. And I was like, oh, shit, he's had it, whatever. But, yeah, when I worked on his bike, and he's like, yeah, take it for a ride or whatever. And I am a cruiser guy. I got Harleys and Shadows and whatnot. So I rode that thing just down the road, and I texted him and was like, man, this thing runs like shit. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, it's just dogging, putt, whatever. And I was like, I'm, shifting and shit. And he's like, well, what RPM did you shift at? And I was like, well, I don't know, like 4 or 5 grand, like my Harley. He's like, no, you got to run that thing up to like 10 and then shift. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't even, the down the road was enough for me. My back was already hurting. And I'm like, yeah, this is just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, that Aprilia, it doesn't even start making power till about 3,500.
Yeah,
that's where it starts, and it'll pull at 12. I've got my shift light set for 8, just to kind of give me that heads up, because by the time I see it and my brain processes it, I'm already at 11. So it's if I'm actually laying into it to go, that's what it does. I mean, it'll just straight pull. And I thought the VFR had a wide power band. That's nothing compared to this bike. It will pull straight through without issue. And it's gotten to the point to where I've actually hit the rev limiter a couple of times because I'm not fast enough shifting it up. Because if you shift up, I mean, if you're in the throttle, shifting up and actually intending on staying in the throttle, by the time you get it in the next gear, it's almost time to shift again. So it's there's a whole different technique to it. And yeah, your buddy's right. I do want the V4 because that's when they really started coming into their own, but that's the generation after mine.
Yeah.
So
well, I know he's a member of one of the Facebook groups now. I saw him posted in it, so you might see him posting in there. He was looking for a seat or something. I can't remember what he's looking for.
Yeah.
But
it's a pretty small community because there's not, like I said, there's not many of them.
Well, that's, when you said that you were looking at one and there was like 2 in the state, I was like, yeah, you and Bryce will eventually run into each other, I'm sure. But yeah,
I'm hoping to get out and actually do some more rides this year. But it's funny because like the American Legion and stuff, when I ride with them, I show up and I'm the only sports bike.
Yeah.
And there's never been any animosity or anything. There's always been curiosity. That, I get the people with all the gold wings and some of the baggers and stuff come up and they're like, wow, that's kind of neat. What is this? And so we talk and we compare bikes because, I was raised around Harleys and around cruiser bikes. So I got no love lost for them whatsoever. It's just my style has always been the sports bikes. So.
Yeah. No, the way we were raised is, it's got 2 wheels. Who gives a shit what name's on the
exactly
tank?
Yep.
And that's the way I look at it. Like my buddy Bryce, he's a sport bike guy, and he's like, you might not want to ride with me. I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't give a shit. Just don't ride in my blind spots, and don't be an asshole. Like, it's fairly simple.
Yeah. So here's the thing: your mirrors work. Mine are for show.
Yeah.
Mirrors on a sports bike. No, they're useless. Unless I am tucked into the tank and I move my head left and right, I can't see anything. They just there's no use for them. So because I ride cameras on my bike, which has saved my ass. I told you about the laser, didn't I?
Yeah, you told me about the laser. Some kid shining a laser at you.
It was a truck driver.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tell you how that I didn't get a complete resolution, but I did talk to the owner of the company.
Oh yeah.
On that one, and I gave him exactly where I was and what I was doing, and sent him all the video from all 3 angles on my bike. And he was like, "Yeah, we're going to take care of this because this is serious." So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's something I've never understood is the animosity and the road rage towards motorcycles. I don't get it. Even
do you watch Moto Madness on YouTube?
Yeah.
There's a lot of those videos that it used to be like, hey, these assholes aren't seeing motorcycles, you need to pay attention to motorcycles. Anymore I watch them and it's like, dude, you had plenty of time to hit, people are going to pull out in front of you. It happens, but you have to be a defensive rider, and you had plenty of time to hold the clutch. If you had time to fucking rev bomb your bike, you had time to hit the brake. Don't be a dick. You give the rest of us a bad name.
So I've adopted a riding style that I call aggressively defensive. Because I will maneuver my bike and put it, force my way into a position to where I can be defensive. If that makes any sense. It doesn't mean riding like an asshole. It doesn't mean, cutting people off or anything like that. But I will get around them if I think they're going to be a threat or if, anything like that. So that's kind of how I ride. You have to pretend like everyone is out to get you. You have to. I remember back when I was 15 doing the Abate, Indiana motorcycle course. We were talking about defensive riding and things like that, and one of the guys in my class says, well, yeah, it's their fault. And I turned around, and looked at him, and even me at 15 understood the concept. I was like, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. You're the one laying on the concrete bleeding.
Yeah.
So It really doesn't. It really doesn't matter. And I've seen those videos too, and I'm like, that is 100% the biker's fault.
Yeah.
100%. You were putting yourself in a position to where that could happen.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of traffic. You have to anticipate that they're not going to see you and have a plan around it. And that's why I don't understand it. The thing that always gets me is the intentional aggression from cars, from cagers, as we like to call them. I don't understand that, because it's not like car to car, to where they might play bumper tag or something like that. It's a serious thing. You tap me on my bike or even push me off into the rumble strip lane or something like that, and that could be my life.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's not just a bent, bumper for us. It's, serious injury or death.
Yeah. So, but and that's what's so hard to explain is, people will ask you then, well, then why do you ride? It's because it's serious injury or death. For the, I hate to say it, but that really is what it comes to. You're living in that moment. You have to be focused, and all the other things that are going on in your life kind of go away. It's very similar to me flying. Because at that moment, when I hit the go switch on the engines, I can't be thinking about what's going on at home. Am I having money issues? Am I having this problem or that? I can't be thinking about that, because now it's me and my crew's life are, depending on the decisions I'm making. So, you can't think about that. And I think that's when you're, not to sound cliche, but I think that's really when you're truly alive.
Oh, yeah.
Is in those moments. So,
No,
and I don't think enough people live there.
No. I tell, when me and Ash took, my fiance took that trip 2 years ago on the bike, and she was over it real quick. But I kept trying to tell her, I'm like, there's nothing like taking a trip on a bike where it's just you and the bike. And I was like, everything looks different. Like, yeah, you can go do this in a car, but you're in a fucking car. On the bike, you're surrounded by everything. It smells different. It feels different. It's just a totally different experience.
And it's funny too, because it really is the epitome of, if you understand, I don't have to explain it, and if you don't understand, I can't explain it.
You can try, but you won't understand until you experience,
mm-hmm.
it yourself.
And it's kind of the same way with flying, because there's no rest area to stop. I've gotten into argument even with family members as far as like birds and these quadcopters and drones. That's what scares me. The argument I've had is, oh, you're telling me that this tiny little thing can take down a whole helicopter? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. I said, let me put it to you this way. Would you want to hit this thing going 60 miles an hour down the road? No. I don't want to hit it at 120 miles an hour when I'm 3,000 feet in the air.
Yeah.
That's scary, to me, because you can buy these things everywhere. And I actually almost hit one the other night. There was a quadcopter. Somebody was flying around Lucas Oil Stadium, downtown Indianapolis, and it's 10 o'clock at night, I think. And I'm coming back from Riley with my crew. We just dropped a kid off, coming back to the heliport. And I see these lights. I'm like, I know the skyline pretty well by now. Like, those lights aren't normal. So at least the thing was lit. And next thing I know, I see it and I bank off to the left and it goes right down past me. And I was like, okay. Because per FAA regulation, they're supposed to stay 400 feet and below.
Yeah.
Because 500 feet and above are where we live. Well, I was at 600 feet and he went right by me. So I land, I call the Indianapolis Tower. I was like, hey, just so you know, there's a quadcopter flying around Lucas Oil. So those are the ones that scare me. Birds, I can't do anything about that. That's nature. And usually birds are predictable. These quadcopters aren't. So, but anyway, I digress. I got on my soapbox there for a second.
Right. Well, I don't know if we mentioned earlier or not that you are still flying. You're flying, Medevac?
Yep. So actually I fly for IU Health Lifeline. We do a lot of runs out of Indianapolis. There's a few aircraft in the state that run around, and Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it, especially with my history as a combat medic and as a medic on the civilian side. I really feel like it's the pinnacle of emergency medical service, and then so I'm just using my skills instead of as a medic as a pilot. And, it's single pilot now, so it's typically me and a nurse and a medic. We go out and do runs. Sometimes it's inter hospital transfer. Sometimes it's scene flights. You know, the car wrecks, the falls, and stuff like that. Um, those are a little more exciting, I think, because you're landing in a farmer's field or on a highway somewhere. But either way, it's a lot of flying, and that's my only job now. So, I mean, you remember me as a kid? That's all I talked about.
Oh yeah. The fucking flying, and God, you had models of planes all the time.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I'm very. I want to say I'm very lucky, but that hides a lot of the work that went into it. There was a lot of sacrifice and dedication and time spent learning the skill. So you know, to quote an old song, you know, 10% luck, 15% skill. You know. But
you didn't think that you'd be able to fly because your eyes. I'm looking at you right now, and I'm not gonna post video of this, but yeah, you got glasses on. Your eyesight was shit growing up, and what the Army finally laxed their requirements for what your eyesight could be.
So yes and no. So what I wanted to do was fly fighters. That was what I wanted to do, and that, you know, the Air Force is very strict on your eyesight. It had to be perfect eyesight. Otherwise you couldn't fly, and you had to have a degree, and that just wasn't for me. So I was disappointed in that. When I enlisted into the Army, I had never even thought that was going to be a possibility. So that's why I enlisted as a combat medic, because I was already an EMT on the civilian side. I had experience with that, so I enlisted as a medic. Coming out of my basic training and into my unit, I did a little bit more research, and I got put in touch with a couple of pilots in Indiana, and I started asking those questions. I was like, well, hey, I've got glasses. Does that matter? Well, come to find out, it does and it doesn't. So the regulation is your vision has to be 20/50 or better and correctable to 20/20. So my vision has always been stable at 20/40. And then with glasses, it's 20/15. So that was fine. I got waivers for everything else, and it's quite a process to get accepted into flight school. So you drop a warrant officer packet or an officer packet, whatever it may be. You go in front of a board, which is a whole bunch of high-ranking members of the unit. They ask you a whole bunch of questions, general aviation knowledge. It's like an interview, but amped up, turned up to 11.
Yeah.
And then from that, you either get accepted, and then you have to go through a federal recognition board. And this is all after, the medical evaluation, your flight physical and things like that, background interviews and stuff. So I think the process took 7 months from beginning to end.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and then once you get accepted, they send you down to Fort Rucker, Alabama. I was there for a year and 9 months, I think, and then came back to the unit. So, been with them since 2013, so 10 years.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Took a lot of time. Flying EMS on the civilian side wasn't quite as much of a process, but you have hour requirements. You're required to have 2,000 hours of flying time before you can even apply. I didn't get it before I got the job, but I understand it now why. Because you are relying on your experience and your decision making behind in the cockpit to make these decisions as to whether things are safe or not. I always joke with the nurses and I say I get paid to say no to flights. That's what I get paid to do, because I have to evaluate the weather, I have to evaluate the landing conditions and everything like that, and make that determination as to whether or not we go in or not. And the hardest thing you can do is tell your nurses, no, I can't fly, because of the weather or whatever it may be. And they're usually pretty understanding, but that there's a patient at the end of that needs you.
Yeah.
And we do critical care transport. 99% of the time we're not flying tummy aches to the hospital like normal EMSs are. We're flying real sick people. So saying no to those flights are, it sucks. It's part of the job, but that's, I can't risk my crew to go out there and save one patient. I just can't do it.
No, that makes sense.
It's extremely rewarding when I get to them.
I guess I never thought about that. There wasn't just someone like some dispatcher saying, "Hey, we got this emergency. Go hop in the helicopter and take off." I guess that's what I thought about, or thought that that's the way it was. Like with the EMS, you just have a dispatcher saying, "Hey, car crash wherever." And
yeah, I mean it's similar, and I don't know the specifics on how they do it, but I know we have a comm center which is kind of like a dispatch. But these flights are vetted. They have to specifically request a helicopter for us to go do a thing, and then even there's questions that are asked. So yeah, we don't go out on every flight that's requested of us, but we go out on most of them, because usually if they're requesting a helicopter, they know why. And there's a lot of different reasons that they can request us, especially downtown Indy. So we do some short hops that are just simply because the traffic is so bad that getting an ambulance through it would be a nightmare.
Oh yeah,
a 10-minute flight would be a 40-minute drive. So depending on the patient, you don't want them out there doing that. So when I can make it to Gary, Indiana, and back. It takes me from my base. It takes me just shy of an hour to get to Gary.
Really?
And then, so if you've got a patient that really needs to be to a level 1 trauma center or a cath lab or whatever it may be, that's your best bet, because it's a 3-hour plus drive in good traffic. It's an hour flight, and I don't have to worry about traffic. So
is that hour round trip, or hour to Gary, then an hour back?
Hour to Gary and an hour back. So we typically fly, we cruise at 125 knots. It's about 132, 133 miles an hour, but we do it as the crow flies, straight point A to point B. So there's no stoplights or anything up there. We just hit cruise control and away we go.
Nice.
So
all right. So we're getting close to an hour. I want to try and keep these right around an hour, but whatever.
Sure.
But so what's next for riding? You said that you were hoping to get a cruiser. What are you?
You know what? I really liked your old Shadow. I really liked it. I that's probably what I'm going to go look at.
The black one?
Yeah. No, the blue one. The blue one. Okay.
Yeah, the 1100 back. Yeah. Shit, 20 years ago. I know where that one's at. You might want to sell it.
Okay. All right. That's
got 70,000 miles on it.
I don't care. It's a Honda.
Yeah.
I mean, hell. No, I like them. They're inexpensive to operate. They're reliable. They do everything I need it to do. So it'll probably be either a VTX like Michael's, because that was kind of a nice bike too, or a Shadow, something like that. I've looked into some of the Yamaha cruisers, but I don't know. Really, it just depends. The next step for me is getting the family riding. So
you gotta get Desi, your wife. She gonna get.
She's talked about it. Getting. I want to start her on a little bike like the Rebel or something like that, because she's a little shorter than me, so her little legs will be,
absolutely,
dangly. But she wants to start riding. My oldest daughter wants to start riding and everything. She's got other issues right now that she's got to figure out. But and the Charity and Wyatt obviously have talked about it. So now the step is getting them little cruiser bikes and getting them started. And Jaden's even talked about, my oldest has talked about getting a bike and kind of putting around.
I remember you saying he was talking about getting a bike. He doesn't have one yet?
No, he was looking at all the gear. Honestly, for him, I mean, he's a college kid. He can't afford it. And I can't afford to get him one because I'm helping pay for college. So it's just one of those things. So time will tell with him. He's talked about it and he's looked at it. And I've, again, talked him out of a 600 because he was looking at that and talked him into the...
tell him Uncle Nick will have a 600 Shadow here at the end of August. He's got to sell them so he can buy a Sportster next year.
There you go. Yeah, I've always told the kids, get a bike you can grow out of, not one you're going to grow into.
Exactly.
It's the exact opposite of just about everything else in life. Get one you can grow out of.
So, have any of them taken the MSF class yet?
No, not yet. We had talked about getting it scheduled this spring or summer. It just depends on timeline and stuff like that. We've been so busy these last couple of years. Last year was insanely busy for all of us. We were bouncing around doing all kinds of stuff. So last year was a no-go, but this year I think is going to calm down a little bit. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's me and Ashley took that back in 2020. How many times have you taken the class? Just the one?
Twice.
Twice?
Took it twice. Yep.
I've taken it 3 times now, and I'll probably take it again eventually. I don't know. It's just fun to do for a weekend.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. It kind of reinforces the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but taking it with a significant other is challenging, to say the least.
I don't think if I take it again, it won't be with the kids. I'm going to let them do their own course. That way they're doing it without me watching. Because I know if I'm watching them, they're going to be all in their own head and they're going to be second guessing themselves and being like, I want to do this. And
well, it wasn't. See, Ashley, she was so paranoid about she was going to wreck the bike that she didn't focus on me. It was me focusing on her. Like making sure that she's not going to wreck the bike. And it was the final exam, and you're riding at one of the instructors, and there's an exercise where they tell you to hit the brakes, and you're supposed to lock up the brakes right then. Well, it just happened that they were doing 2 groups. We had two instructors out there doing it, and it just happened that she had started doing whatever she was doing on the other side as I'm coming in. So I'm coming in, and I'm looking at the instructor, and I see her take off. My head immediately turns, and he's over there flagging me, telling me to brake. And I look back, and I come up to him, and he's like, I know exactly what the hell you were looking at. And he's like, pay attention to what you're supposed to, rip me. Didn't rip me a new asshole, but and they all knew that, Dad had taught and that I'd been through the class and whatnot. So he's like, and they marked me. That was our final exam, and that was the one mark that I got, was that I didn't ace it because I was late to braking because I was paying attention to her and making sure that she wasn't going to crash, which is my own fault. But yeah, something to think about if you're going to take the family and go do the class.
Because I would be, I can't step out of dad mode. I've found that out. And so I would always, I know that I would be wanting to kind of coach and give them advice. And that's not my job. I'm not the instructor. I want to let them, let the instructors teach. So it's probably best if I just send them through their own class.
The instructors, they were really cool, R2. And they made it clear when they, are you forcing her to do this? I'm like, oh, no. I was like, look, man, I'm just a student this weekend. I'm not her boyfriend. I'm not nothing. You treat us like
I'm not even
different. Yep. And I was like, I'm not going to be coaching her, nothing. That's your job. I'm paying you guys to do that. So if, on the ride home, she wants to ask me questions, then I'll tell her, what I thought, but I'm not here to instruct. I'm here to learn too, bud. And
I kind of want to go through the advanced course with my own bike because I know that because mine doesn't want to lean sometimes, so I need to practice techniques in a kind of a controlled environment and everything. I kind of want to get, honestly, I've thought about getting a smaller bike, like a 600 or something that I can track, that I don't care about as much, that if I lay it down and bust it all up, I'm not going to worry about it. I've thought about doing that just because this bike is a little bigger and a little more powerful, and I care about it more, and I don't want to lay it down, so I know that I'm not doing the right things sometimes. I'm kind of pulling myself back, but we'll see. It's just depends. I got all the big maintenance stuff done on it, so I think she'll ride good for me. I was having issues with the stator and with the sprag clutch and everything. I just replaced all of it.
Did you ever weld up your oil tank?
No, I replaced it.
Oh, okay.
Just replaced the whole thing. Yeah.
I went. You'd text me and ask me about that, and I didn't hear anything else about it.
Oh, I was so angry. I just went nuclear mode and I replaced everything. I replaced the sprag clutch, the stator, the voltage regulator, the oil tank, all of that. Just replaced the whole thing. And now she runs great. I upgraded it to the hot shot and everything, so it puts out plenty of voltage and everything now. And she started up just fine. Put a big ass battery in it. It's like 310 cold cranking amps or something like that.
Is it one of them anti-gravity light ones?
No.
Everyone seems to be raging about those. I haven't ever dealt with them.
No, so the big thing with these is because they're such high compression. It's like a little over 11.5 to 1 compression in these things, and they're such big cylinders that even the stock battery that they come with, after doing some research, is kind of garbage. So a lot of the owners for these bikes will put 250 plus cold cranking amps batteries in them. I found one that was like 310 and jumped right on it because what happens is the voltage isn't high enough, so the engine doesn't spin like it's supposed to, and it actually lets it spin backwards, and that's what eats up these sprag clutches. So
doesn't sound good.
No, it's not. It's not good because then the bike doesn't start, and you end up trailering it home like I did. So twice, but that's not the point. But no, I absolutely love it, and I plan on riding it. Last year, I put more miles on the bike than I did the truck. This year may be a little different because my job, having to go in and getting off later. I work 12-hour days now, so it's not. I can't wait for it to be warm and then still also drive home or ride home when it's warm. So leaving the house at 5 o'clock in the morning, I got to wait till it's at least somewhat warm. But
right.
But once the weather kind of calms down, I think I'm going to be riding more often.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do the same this year. Like I said, I got a 1K in a day planned. Because the tail of the dragon, the end of it is 526 miles exactly from my house to there. So I'm going to run down there and have lunch and then turn around and run back.
Nice. That sounds fun and painful at the same time.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It'll be an experience.
Yeah?
So.
Well, you have to get some good video and everything of it.
Well, absolutely.
So I'll send you some video of me dancing on my bike because that's what I do when I get bored.
Like standing on the seat, Indian Larry shit?
No.
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 I was going to say.
I just lean back and kind of bebop around. So,
hell yeah.
That's what I do. I am I've seen the videos of the different types of bikers at, the stoplights, and I cycle through all of them. I either play with my tank, or I'm drumming on everything, or I'm dancing around, or I lean back and put my feet up, or I get off the bike and kind of walk around, wave at people. I'm weird on the bike, man.
I was going to say, are you one of those people that hops off at the stoplight and then starts dancing and shit? I'm going to see you on TikTok or some shit here.
I can neither confirm or deny any of those things have happened.
Well, I've seen your dance skills, so I hope that.
Oh, it's bad.
Don't. Yeah,
it's super bad. It's super bad. Yeah. Well, and the funny part of that is, because I got the Bluetooth going in my helmet, so I've got music going on, and I'm bebopping around, and to no one else does it.
No one else can hear the shit.
Yeah. No one else, and I'm just having a good old time. But that's kind of the point, I'm in my own little world and whatnot. So.
Absolutely.
I like to have fun with drivers, especially Jeeps. I like to have fun with Jeeps because, they really like sticking their foot out and putting it up on the mount. Yeah. So I'll ride by them and I'll flick their foot.
You can come up there and tickle it and shit.
Yeah. Or you got the kids in the back that are like staring at your bike. You give them a little fist bump and, while riding. Or I'll do I'll set the throttle lock and I'll row past them.
Yeah, I love the thumbs up from the kids in the back of the car. That's really cool.
Oh yeah. Or I've got one video. I started my bike up, and this is a little girl walking with her dad. I guess she wasn't little. She was probably 10 years old. And I started the bike up, and I'm telling you, Nick, this thing is loud. And as soon as it popped and really started up, I'm at a gas station, so I'm under a canopy, and it just echoed, and it sounded like a gunshot, and it was real loud, and she jumped out of her skin, and her dad starts laughing. I've got it all on camera, and her dad starts laughing, and I start laughing, and she's like, ah. It was great. I like letting the kids come up, and they always want to rev the throttle, so I'm like, yeah, do it. You're not going to hurt this thing. It's got a rev limiter for a reason, so just rip on it.
Yeah.
And they like it, so it's a lot of fun. That's how you get them interested in it, and show that bikers aren't all assholes anyway.
Try not to be.
I try not to be. I've never taken a mirror, but there have been a few that have gotten the finger. But that's just part of the game.
Right. So.
But.
All right, man. Well, yeah, we hit a little over an hour now.
Awesome.
So. Well, I think it's a good place to end it here.
I like it. Well, thank you for having me on. I like it, and I hope it goes off good for you. And
yeah, no, thanks for doing this. Let me figure out Skype. I've never used fucking Skype before, so like I said, I'm not even sure where it says it's recording. I'm not sure where I can find the recording at. So that's going to be my next thing is searching. So if not, we just sat here and bullshitted for an hour, and I'm cool with that too.
I'm good with that too. Yeah, it's a good time to catch up. So we don't get to talk as much. Life is like that sometimes, I think, unfortunately. Right. So, but yeah, we'll as soon as the weather warms up, I'll get her up there, and we'll go cruise around like we did last time.
So yeah, buddy.
All right, man.
All right.
You take care of yourself, and I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Yep, love you too, bud.
We'll see you.